I'm pleased that today an important time of our conference is dedicated to these topics of digital innovation and competitiveness. And speaking of competitiveness, I'm delighted to invite on stage Mr. Radu, who is our director of the Aspen Technology and Society program. Radu, please, you have the floor.
So much, the technology, this conversation, and I loved watching and listening to all the speakers. But right now we'll move to a little bit different angle of competitiveness, and I invite you on stage my dearest panelists today. Please have your seats, and we'll start our conversation. Oh, yeah, you can. Feel free. Free seating. Please. Okay. So, thank you so much for being with us. I started the idea of this panel, once again, dedicated to competitiveness in the digital era. And I believe it's a better continuation of the discussion you listened earlier about technology and the whole role in society. I started from the Draghi Report. I believe everybody learned about the Draghi Report, but we are 1 year from that point, and still very little has been done from there in terms of. It's quite surprising because Draghi Report said, okay, competitiveness of Europe is critical, we need to invest more, we need to do something. And 1 year after, we just found out that not so much done. Of course, it's a new landscape, it's a digital transformation happening, but it's not a separate policy track, and I believe it's industrial policy, energy policy, social policy, all at once happening right now. For Romania and our region, this moment also offers, I believe, a chance to catch up, and it offers a chance to leap forward also, and use this technology and data to leverage productivity, better governance, and all the integration into Europe's strategic value chains that we are looking to. Today's panels bring together leaders from, this policy, markets, technology, and innovation, each representing a piece of the same puzzle. How can Europe turn regulation into competitiveness, digitalization into inclusion, and innovation into real economic value? I'm honored to have today with me Adrian Comănescu from Competition Council. Thank you for being with us. Radu Hanga, President of the Board of Directors of the Bucharest Stock Exchange. Joana Sanchez, VP for Government Affairs and Policy for Southeast Europe and Central Europe MasterCard. Lucian Boltaru, CEO, Same Day Group, and Elisa Canar, Lead EU Public Policy and Government Affairs at Oracle. So thank you so much for being with us. I will start the conversation today with Adrian from Romanian Competition Council, because I would like to set up the framework on competition. Adrian, how does the Competition Council see this balance between fostering innovation and ensuring fair digital markets? Because I believe it's quite a critical subject. I noticed Vidnia earlier mentioning the same thing, Google as well. So how do you see it?
Hello. First of all, Radu, I would like to thank you for the invitation to be in this panel. I'm very happy to be here and to tell you the message of the Romanian Competition Council. Now, getting back to your question, competition and innovation are not opposing goals. So my personal belief is that they reinforce each other when markets are contestable and when rules are predictable. So I think everybody should acknowledge that and behave accordingly, of course taking into consideration his role. So getting back to the role of the Competition Council, our role is not to pick winners. Our role is to ensure fair access and contestability, so that innovative firms, regardless of size, can compete on the merits. So in digital markets, dominant platform can easily and quickly tip the market. So our role is to focus on preventing exclusionary behavior that block new entrants and innovation downstream. So access to data and fair interoperability are increasingly essential for innovations. We at Romanian Competition Council supports frameworks that encourage responsible data sharing, of course, without compromising security and privacy. Regarding data and the way companies gather data, use data, and transform data into money, I can tell you that 2 years ago we issued an investigation against Apple ATT policy. So it's an investigation about data, and I hope that by the end of the half of the next year, we'll have a decision regarding this practice, so that not only Apple but dominant players can see what is our thinking about sharing data and how can they use data. So as a conclusion for these first questions, my personal belief is that innovation flourishes in markets that are fair, predictable, and open. Our goal is not to slow innovation by regulation, but to ensure that innovators, companies, have a fair chance to compete.
Thank you. And I started with this question because most of the companies, if you learn, and I'm happy to hear about this safe space that you're building there, especially for the startup companies or the small and medium enterprises. There are two topics that you constantly hear. It's about regulation, that it's a lot of effort for them to enter the market. But on the other hand, and I move to Radu, Hanga, it's about of course, access to the capital markets. What are the main obstacles you see for Romanian tech companies here? Because you have a good view on that perspective from Bucharest Stock Exchange. Thank you.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Frankly speaking, I don't see much obstacles. I was listening to the previous panel. I was listening about that we should allow companies to fail, and I think that companies are failing, and that happens. It's a fact of life, and I don't think that there are obstacles to that. Thinking about capital raising, it's not about tech companies. We have already some tech companies listed on the Bucharest Stock Exchange in the last years. But if I'm looking at what's happening today, and at the capital availability in the Romanian market, we now just having an IPO. You might know about that. It's Christim. It's not quite technology, but it says a story about the demand we have in the local market. And I have to say that after the first 5 days of the IPO, the tranche which was designed for individual investors here was oversubscribed more than 40 times. That means that the company is asking from retail investors for something like less than 20 million euros, and the money which were offered are in the range of 800 million. So that shows how much demand for new companies, for new initiatives is in the stock exchange. So, and that translates also for the demand in technology companies, even though I think that in the technology field, looking at what's happening now globally with, I would say, some kind of de-globalization process taking place with the global market becoming more fragmented, I would say technology, which is by design a global sector, should be one of the most affected. And a lot of things to say. I was listening to the speech about the Competition Council. I think that what's happening now in Europe with Draghi Report and with the Financial Investments Union, for example, that raises issues. Of course, there is an issue for Europe and for European companies becoming bigger and becoming more competitive. On the other hand, we are looking at structures like Competition Council, which are by default national countries, and we think that we can imagine that an European champion might be a local dominant player at some point. And how do you balance that as a competition council between the need of having big European champions and in the same time to preserve the competitiveness in the local markets? I would say that's one of the challenges of the European Union.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, and probably Lucian will tell you more a little bit later, but not on that point. But I'll move to Joanna right now, because we have a conversation about the digital skills earlier, you noticed, and from MasterCard perspective, payments, I believe, are a vital layer of digital competitiveness, because it grows. It's showed even on the Romanian market in terms of e-commerce and so on. How do you see the role of this financial inclusion and trusted digital identity, which we are pushing forward right now in supporting growth across the region, not only Romania?
Well, Radu, before I dive into the question, let me just share a quick thought with you. As I was preparing for this conference, I thought to myself that the whole narrative around digital competitiveness has really, it has switched. It's no longer about technology. You included words as inclusion, trust. So I want to take this moment just to thank you, Radu, and thank Aspen Institute for creating this space where we can discuss such important topics from a different perspective. So whenever we talk about financial inclusion and trusted digital identities, they are absolutely necessary for unlocking the growth potential of this region. And inclusion is not just about access. It's about dignity, opportunity, confidence. It's about not leaving anyone behind. We have this really beautiful project in Poland where MasterCard has partnered with a local NGO that is dedicated at helping Ukrainian women entrepreneurs. And it's not just a funding project. The scope is much wider. So it's about childcare. Where do these women leave their kids whenever they go outside to build the new companies in a foreign country? It's about digital tools, legal advice. So these women right now are paying taxes, they support local communities, they create jobs. They no longer need to feel like war victims. They are actually resilient, strong businesswomen who can look into the future with hope. Also, whenever we're speaking about financial inclusion, it's absolutely paramount to talk about financial education. Because we cannot expect people to jump on the train of digital transformation if they don't know how to navigate it. So we're very proud in MasterCard to lead and to sponsor different initiatives related to financial education across the globe, but also in the region. And you might be familiar with one in Romania. It is with Junior Achievements and APE, where we bring financial literacy to schools. And also staying with the Romanian digitalization, Romania is one of the leading markets where they're bringing vulnerable groups to financial system through the digitalization of social disbursements. So the financial support that the government gives to those vulnerable groups is done in a more trusted, secure, transparent manner, making it also more human, if you allow me. We work with the government of Albania on the digitalization of small and medium enterprises. With the Ministry of Tourism, we work in Greece and in Bulgaria to see how we can boost the sector with data-driven innovation. So, Radu, those are real local examples of how financial inclusion impacts competitiveness. Now, you cannot have inclusion if people don't feel safe. My sister, she's a marketing expert, she always tells me, you know, Joanna, behind every brand, there's a promise. But behind a good brand, there's a promise kept. And for MasterCard, what we do is we build that brand around trust. So we invest enormous amount of money on fraud prevention, cybersecurity, digital identities, on tokenization, you name it. But it's not about technology. Well, it is about technology, but it's about what it makes people feel. So it's about the security, resilience, stability. And those should be the fundamentals in the creation of a trusted digital identity. We're working with Future Finance Poland on how to use the EU wallets for onboarding to digital services, simplification of KYC, you name it. So at the end of the day, if you're asking me about payments being that layer to competitiveness, what we're really talking about is about people. People who feel protected, empowered, and included.
I echo this final thought because all the technology and competitiveness, of course, it's about investments, about doing something, but ultimately it's about the customer that you serving, and without that, we're just talking about innovation in a nice report, but not on the ground and on the market. And thank you for your view on that. But I will move to Lucian Boltaru now, because same day it's one of the success stories, I believe, in Romania, and scale from local logistics to a regional tech-driven company. And of course, I'm curious, and I believe all the audience is, how was that possible? How is this leap possible? And what condition still hold you back from your, I don't know, from similar players on the region?
Yes, you're right. We are more, it's more a technology company than that is doing logistics. So we have a lot of technology embedded in our culture. Over the 18 years of existence, we managed to scale from a local courier company in Bucharest with 4 couriers to national level, and 4 years ago to regional level. Today, same day, it's more than 6,000 colleagues, so it's a quite big company in 3 countries, Romania, Hungary, and Bulgaria. We changed the traditional courier business in a different way. We innovate and build the EasyBox, the locker system network. It's an courier infrastructure. More than 8,000 EasyBoxes in our region. And this changed the business because the deliveries on EasyBoxes are more efficient, 30% less cost per parcel, but also more convenient for the receivers. So we managed to combine the efficiency and the convenience in the same package, and this really helped us to grow. As a conclusion, the combination between startup culture, agility, customer focus, data, a lot of data, and I think the most important, the execution we have made took us from local to regional level. And I really think that this will help us to the next leg of the same-day grow.
Thank you so much. Just a funny story. One of your couriers is like part of our family. It's on the contact list. He calls me and so on. But once you put those easy boxes, he keeps on. Oh, you didn't order anything. Yeah, I ordered, but you put it on the. So you lose the personal touch. But anyway, it's.
Yeah, we are losing the personal touch, but. Sometimes this personal touch is positive, but sometimes create a lot of friction between the receiver and the courier, because we are focused to productivity, and in order to be productive, we need to spend as less time as possible to the customer, and that contact between customer and courier need to be at minimum in order to be efficient. And EasyBox somehow resolved this problem, because the couriers put the parcels in the boxes when they can, most of the time between the rush hours, and the receivers are able to pick up the parcel when they have time to do it. Yeah.
Indeed, and this is where the technology helps, I believe. I'll move to Elisa right now, and because you mentioned the infrastructure, we talk about the framework and the safe space that you mentioned, but cloud is a cornerstone of the digital transformation. I mean, it's everywhere right now. You cannot build new tech without thinking of the cloud solution. So, but the cloud evolution is increasingly being shaped by, right now, by geopolitical dimensions. And I was wondering how Oracle is addressing these challenges, because you have to balance the same, and we had the discussion earlier, between the customer needs and the regulatory demands. And right now it's another geopolitical dimension on top of everything. So how do you balance that, Elisa?
So Radu, thank you very much for this question. And first off, before I give an answer, I just want to say thank you to be part of this fantastic panel of distinguished speakers. It's my first time in Bucharest, and I'm so impressed by the amount of talent I see in this city. So now going back to your question, so I work for Oracle. I think most of you, I hope, know about the company I work for. We've been a technology provider to government and enterprise for close to 15 years, close to 50 years, and we continue to innovate, our cloud solutions according to the demands and needs of both our customers and regulators. I'm very proud to say that actually Oracle is the first hyperscaler to come out with what we call an EU sovereign cloud solution. Now in Brussels, there are two key topics that are really front of mind. It's both competitiveness and strategic autonomy or tech sovereignty. And I'm very proud to say that Oracle has been the first to actually address the issue of tech sovereignty. So what we did was back in July 2023, we launched this solution to market. And the EU Sovereign Cloud is actually a cloud that is entirely based within the European Union, with its dedicated infrastructure, operations, systems, staffed within the borders of the European Union, which meet the strictest adherence to data privacy and data security laws. So from a more practical perspective, this means that our customers, both from government and enterprise, are able to put the critical data information, data assets, in a cloud structure, ensuring that all of this data, as well as metadata, is processed within the borders of the European Union, under European jurisdiction and under European oversight. So this is actually quite groundbreaking. And the reason we did this is because we saw that back in 2022, we had this debate on EUCS, which is a cyber certification scheme for cloud services, and we understood already at that time that the European Commission, as well as member states, would go down that route. So one of the key ways we innovated is by bringing the sovereign cloud to the market. And I think there are other things that we've been doing quite smartly as well. I think the next one is enhancing the partnerships we have with European players. One of a very cherished partnership we have is with the French European cybersecurity company called Thales. So we forged this partnership quite recently, and I'm just looking at a key distinguished person, who used to work for NATO, and we actually have just did a partnership with NATO in collaboration with Thales. So this is great. So beefing up our partnerships with such players to basically strengthen the encryption and cybersecurity offered on our cloud solutions. And beyond that, we also aspire to really team up with smaller European players. So I'm going to mention the Italian software company called AlmaWave. They recently came up with their own LLM model. And this LLM model is called Velvet. So Oracle actually doesn't own their own LLM model. We tend to team up with a variety of them. But the focus recently has been not just focusing on the American ones, but equally getting, fostering collaboration with the European ones. So we're very proud of that. And maybe a last point I'd like to mention, because we talk a lot about, competitiveness and tech sovereignty, and I think behind tech sovereignty is really the ambition of the European Commission member states to have less reliance on US players. And we know that quite well, that in Europe, when it comes to cloud, it's very evident that the vast majority of companies we rely on are American. So Oracle has been a key proponent of what we call multi-cloud, which would enable customers to not rely on just one partner, but a multitude of partners. That means that if you're quite a big enterprise, you've got different parts of the business that may require different cloud solutions. Some of the data you have might be highly sensitive and could go, in a private cloud solution. Other may be less sensitive and you go, to a public cloud solution. By embracing this multi-cloud approach, we've basically, signed up with different cloud companies to ensure that customers can get the best of cloud service providers that are out there. And what this essentially leads to is basically a more competitive and a fair cloud ecosystem. So I really, not just point towards the developments we've done around tech sovereignty, but also the embrace of multi-cloud. So I'm just going to leave it at this because I know I've talked a lot.
It was a very good roundup. We talk about at the beginning of the fair space that the Competition Council is building. You ended in a fair competition that you built with a cloud solution, multi-cloud that you mentioned. So indeed, I wanted to have this first round to have a good look from various perspectives on this competitiveness that we are talking about on the technology we have today. I will move back to you, to all of you, for rather short answers. We have some time left, but I would like to take some questions from the audience as well. Adrian, you mentioned this guarding markets, and I believe it's the core business of Competition Council, if I may. But how about moving a little bit to shaping these markets? There's a whole conversation about data sharing, innovation sandboxes, for example. So how do you see them? How do you move from the old style competition council to a new era of digital ground? Please.
Thank you, Radu. Regarding the competition policy in the digital era move from guarding markets to actively shaping them, for example, by supporting data sharing or innovation sandboxes, my short answer is that it can be possible, but within limits. My personal belief is that Competition Council should remain a referee, not a player. It can actively support conditions that make markets more competitive and innovative. So, in this area of digital economy, we are required to act earlier before markets tip. So we are not very used.
That's the challenge.
Yeah,
That's why.
we are not very used to act ex ante because we are an ex post authority. So proactive tools like the Digital Market Act, market inquiries, and regulatory dialogues are essential for us. So we are trying to use these instruments in order to have markets that are predictable and and where competitions develop. So, of course, there are cases, and at the beginning of the year, European Commission, because European Commission is in charge for DMA, find two companies, Apple and Meta, but our main goal is not to find companies. Our main goal is to make markets function properly. So, regarding innovation sandbox, authorities can collaborate to ensure sandboxes are designated to foster competition, not regulatory arbitrage. So, as a concluding remark, I think we must evolve from merely guarding against harm to shaping an environment where fair competition and innovation become self-reinforcing.
Yeah, because it's very important, especially in the institution that looks on, as you said, post events to currently or actively shaping them. Because for the startups, but also for the established companies, it's a new territory, and it's also a new territory in terms of regulation and competition. And as Mr. Hanga was mentioning, we end up in encouraging the growth of some companies, but you end up in having a monopoly on local markets. So what is the fine line there? So Mr. Hanga, I will move to you. I will take this opportunity. And because okay, I understood the perspective of having access to the capital markets, and I'm happy to hear that there are not so many obstacles. But on the other hand, how can policy attract more regional investors here? What changes can be made? How do you see that?
I would say as a comment that we put a little bit too much emphasis on policy.
Okay.
I think that, and we talk, of course, we are here in Romania. 35 years ago, we lived in a world where it was a lot of industrial policy and all kinds of policies. And at that point, we moved away from an ecosystem which was dominated by policies to an ecosystem which was dominated by liberal thinking, by a mechanism based on market economy and which is shaped by the decisions of individual economic actors. Now, somehow we are turning back. We are starting to talk more and more about industrial policy, which is a good thing, because I think at the end of the day, it's about finding the right balance. We talk about policies in attracting, as you said, foreign investors. And I would say that, of course, attracting foreign investors, it is about policies, but it's also going back to, I think, Joanna, what you said, trust. If you do your job internally, we live in Romania, if you build an ecosystem where local investors feel protected, if you build an ecosystem which functions properly, which attracts local players, that will make also foreign player joins. Like in sports, you cannot build a football stadium in a city and expect foreign teams to come and play there. First of all, you have to build your own team. And in time, doing things properly, I think that foreign players are also going to start coming and playing the game if they like it. So I would say, going back to the stock exchange, we talk about investors in general. I think that in order to have foreign investors, we have to build a strong local investors base, and this is happening now. If you look at the last 5 years, we see a five-fold increase in the number of retail investors in the market. And of course, in terms of foreign investors, we are doing whatever we can in order to promote the image of the companies which are listed on the stock exchange and make them present on the global markets. And in the same time, we are aware again about the limitations of the current context. We live in a world where the movement of people, of goods, and of capital, it's not as free as it used to be, and probably also the capital, it's more cautious in the way it moves around.
Thank you so much. And I echo this. I'm happy to hear that you don't need a policy, and I like the parallel with investing more in real players here, and then they will become more attractive to regional level. Joanna, you mentioned some of the examples from Albania, from Poland, and so on. And I was curious, how can Romania benefit from your experience there? For how these innovation hubs can be done here more present, if you want, or being on the same ground, secure and trustful, as you mentioned.
Thank you, Radu. So in MasterCard, we believe that innovation happens whenever infrastructure meets collaboration. And this is precisely what the innovation hubs that you mentioned in MasterCard are all about. So it's a space where our partners can explore, can test, can design the future of digital finance. In Europe, we have 5 of those centers. And don't think about them as showrooms. You know, those are strategic labs where governments, fintechs, banks come and work hand in hand with us and develop solutions to the real-world challenges. And it doesn't matter if the topic is about cybersecurity, tourism, mobility, sustainability. It doesn't matter. What really matters is to come at the end of the day with a scalable solution. We don't want them to stay on the whiteboards. We want to deploy them into the markets. We want to incorporate them into concrete projects. An example of that is Strive EU. This is our flagship project in MasterCard that has as its objective digitalization of small enterprises. And there's a commitment to invest from MasterCard 4.5 million euros in it. Interestingly, Romania and Croatia are amongst the top-ranking countries that applied to those projects, which just demonstrates that there's a strong appetite in the region for these initiatives. This April, we launched the Strive Romania. There were several fintechs that are in the world of digital transformation. 2 of them won. One is Idea Morph, and the other one is Fagura. Both of them are currently receiving funding. They have an open access to our network of partners. They are being mentored. So what we manage is to bring local innovation and turn it into a scalable impact. But also whenever we're talking about impact, in MasterCard, innovation is also very closely related to infrastructure. And this is the reason why last week we announced an investment of 250 million euros in building 3 data centers located in France. Mm-hmm. And that is to strengthen the European resilience in payments. But coming back to Romania, I think that you're already stepping into the spotlight, especially with the recent announcement of the creation of the AI center that you're going to have in Bucharest. And I think that for MasterCard, this is a strategic opportunity to work with you on secure payments, ethical AI, digital identity. So if I had to extract some lessons learned from our innovation hubs that could be useful for you, I would say build locally, connect globally, and innovate with courage. I am absolutely confident that with the adequate, bold mindset and the right alliances, Romania can really become that launchpad for the future of digital payments.
I'm confident also in the potential of the region. I'm that optimistic about it. So, thank you for your words, Lucian. I saw you mentioned that you're more a technological company, not a logistical company. But I would take the opportunity to ask you, if you put AI on top, how can logistic and AI power supply chains can become a new competitive advantage, especially in the region, because you are a regional player right now?
Of course, AI is helping a lot our flows. We are investing a lot in this direction. So we just finish to prepare the entire tech stack of same day to be AI embedded. So we are implementing AI in our core system, and it wasn't easy. So the technology cost is quite high, and this is the challenge we have, because the technology cost, for example, in our company is the same, like in more or less the same like in Germany or in France. So, but they have more parcels than us because they have a huge scale. So for us, being in a, let's say, small Eastern Europe country, in order to be able to innovate, we need more parcels. So we need scale. This is the logistic business. For us, scale means density, parcels per square kilometers. So in order to increase our number of parcels, we need to go to extend our geographies to reach the technology cost per parcel as lower as possible, but to continue innovating at the same level like Poland, courier companies, or German, and so on. So I think the only way to increase the competitiveness of our industry is to developing European smart locker networks that will generate growth not only for Romania but the entire region, because this is helping the economy, the local economy, to go across the borders. So we can help the local economy to sell their goods to higher number of consumer very easily, cheap, with a very fast delivery. So this is my entrepreneurial point of view at my level. So in my industry, of course, this is a very tough subject and need to be discussed much more.
Especially in the region, it needs to be, I mean, the competitiveness of Romania and the region contribute to the competitiveness of Europe. So it's a good conversation to have, and I believe it's the right time. And it was my curiosity, but also from the competitiveness point of view. I'll move back to Elisa. We have a few minutes left, not so many. You mentioned the role of Oracle in Romania, and you invested quite a lot here, and I know that. But it is a curiosity on one hand. What makes it an attractive destination for a company like Oracle, and what more should we do to attract more companies like yours?
So frankly, I think there are too many factors to actually mention. And before I get into the factors, I'm first going to talk about Oracle's presence in Romania. So our office here is actually the second biggest we have in the EMEA region. We've got close to 5,000 employees. I think we're the largest IT employer.
Yes.
Our former CEO, Safra Katz, has Romanian roots, so this country is very dear to her heart. And I'd say also, actually, to mention, we have our biggest solution center that is based here, where customers and prospects can test the latest applications, validate them, get acquainted with the latest of our technologies at Oracle. But the key, more general factors I'd like to mention, probably the first one being the projected growth of your digital economy, which would be about 52 billion by 2030, which would account for 10% of your overall GDP, a highly talented workforce. I mean, I think Romania has over 200,000 software developers. You rank 6th globally for certified IT specialists. I mean, it's quite incredible. And I think another factor that we find actually very encouraging is to really see the policy agenda you have when it comes to government digital transformation. So I know that you have a cloud-first policy. This isn't the case for the vast majority of European member states. Beyond that, you have the ambition to come out with a government cloud platform. All of this is backed by 530 million from the National Recovery and Resilience Fund. We find all of these factors really incredibly incredibly encouraging, which is why I think, Romania in general is going to remain a key part of our sort of investment strategy. And beyond that, our office has both through, partnerships that we have with Romanian universities, through Oracle Academy, through Oracle University, we're further, growing. AI and cloud talents. And I would say that maybe, for my ambition, is for the European Commission to realize that Romania, and to be honest, the CCE region can go much further. I think there's huge potential. We tend to focus so much on Western Europe, but a lot of the IT-driven talent really comes from here. And I do hope that they will be at the center of Europe's competitiveness and engine growth in the future. So too many factors to mention, but I'm very proud of the presence we have here, and I'm sure that we're going to keep on growing and growing.
I'll take this positive message as a conclusion to our panel. I think we can squeeze a quick question if we have. If we don't have, I don't know. Well, we have a raised hand there. Let's make it quick, but make it a question, okay? We have a microphone in the back of the room, so please use it because otherwise it's harder. Thank you.
So quick question to people who want to speak about innovation. Are any of your organizations listening to the work that Tim Berners-Lee is doing with Solid and the next generation of the internet that he's creating with the Solid framework? Also, as it relates to AI, a lot of interesting buzzwords, a lot of lack of substance out there. Most people who know AI know basically it's a repurposed, multi-channeled search. So is anyone, the real gap exists in governance models. So, that's where real innovation's happening in regards to AI. So I was just wondering, what are your organizations doing about governance models in AI? And is anybody looking at what Tim Berners-Lee is doing at MIT? Thanks.
Thank you so much. Quick reactions from the panelists looking at the new web.
I can just shortly share it with you that AI is nothing really new in the last years, although it does, it is the buzzword that now everyone is using. However, in MasterCard, we've been using it for many, many years, especially in the fraud prevention space. So this is something that we're working on a daily basis, we're developing, and definitely incorporated into our daily job. And whenever you have any new technology, obviously it's paramount for MasterCard to do it according to the ethical guidelines that are there, and we're working very closely with the European Commission on that as well.
Maybe just a quick comment from my side. I do not know the individual that you're referring to, but well, fantastic. I'll definitely look into it. So quite similar to MasterCard, Oracle has been leveraging machine learning at the time. Now we're talking about AI, Gen AI, for quite some time across all levels of the tech stack. When it comes to governance, so we've looked at the AI Act. I think what is top of mind right now is the debate around AI standards. And I know this doesn't actually reach every city, but the one on standards is super, super important. Because as you know, standards are presumption of conformity for market access. And what we see at the moment is, the EU kind of going down the route of developing their own common specifications. What we would like to see, well, they're not, actually, they've confirmed recently that they're not going to go down the route of doing that, but they still want to develop their own set of standards. Now, this would create friction because we already have a set of standards out there that are developed by ISO that we'd like to basically, refer to. So, of course, governance is top of mind and should be for any multinational. I'll make sure to research the person that you mentioned. And no, good question, I think.
And I believe it's a long conversation around the standards and around the governance of AI, and also the new internet that is thought right now, which is a different architecture indeed. But I will encourage all of you to have this conversation probably in a different pace after the panel. So thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much for all of you being here. In a big round of applause, I will thank all the panelists here. Thank you.